folks, here we go. Part 2 of the video we're doing, or the tutorial we're doing on making a sheath for this knife. We left off, we got our pattern. We're going to trace this out on to the leather. This is why I like to use the stiffer cardboard. It makes it so much easier to get around those edges and keep everything in place. Alright, we've got to do back, front. Always be mindful of that, folks, because you're tracing on the back side of the leather, so you want to make sure you got the front of the sheath facing right and the back of the sheath facing right. And that's the front, and that's the back. When you put those together, the outside of the leather will be facing in the right direction. We'll get all this traced out. I always hate tracing the welt, but like I said, you ain't got to be 100% accurate on this thing. It's going to go inside the sheath, and you can always trim up on it if need be. Leave it hanging out the side a little bit if you get it a little too wide. And then just when you shaping up the sheath in the final steps, just trim it off. We have that, and the next step here, well, honestly, I think I'd like to design what we're going to have the belt loop look like. So we know this is going to be the outside of the back. So what I do to get my belt loop in place is usually I do my belt loop kind of the same shape as the sheath is. So basically I want to get kind of centered on my sheath here, and then I like to drop down about about a ½ inch from the top, maybe 5/8 from the top. I mark this thing out, just kind of trace here. You always want to make sure that you've got at least around 1 5/8 or 1 3/4 for your belt loop, for your belt to go through. I usually try to get around 2 inches on mine, to make sure that I've got plenty of room, because when I attach the belt loop, when I sew it on, I kind of leave like a little hump in it, so you got a little bit of room, so the belt's not so tight going through there. So we're going to trace this out. Not the best at drawing, but come up and we'll mark 2 inches here. And then we'll this will kind of give us a stitch line. You can look at the shape of that and see if that's kind of what you want. And I think it is pretty much what I want. I may shorten this up a little bit here. And folks, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. Some people just freehand it. They don't worry about all this drawing out and all that, but that's folks that's probably way better at leather work than I am. I haven't been doing the leather work for a long time, but I love it. It's really fun. And now what I'm going to do is we're going to try to trace one more of these out before I cut that belt loop. Like I said, folks, no sense in getting in no hurry on this. In my opinion, slow and steady wins the race. Keeps you from making mistakes. Lets you enjoy the work. We'll trace that out so we make sure we've got a good pattern to come back to. And I'll show you why, because we're fixing to cut this out and then that'll be no good anymore. And this will give us our belt loop from the back. We'll trace this out on the leather. We'll get that cut out. I promise, folks, I'm going to try to get better at making these videos, make them a little more entertaining, but really the entertaining part's not the important part to me. It's the instructional part of it. And the learning part. Videos just like this is what got me to where I am. And like I said, I'm not no expert, but I can hold my own with the leather work and with the knife making. I don't consider myself I guess you just call me a bladesmith and a leather worker. That's what I would be considered. But anyway, you see we've got our whole sheath, every piece that we'll need for it laid out here. So the next step will be getting that cut out, getting it ready for, after we get it cut out, we'll bevel the front edges, start prepping the belt loop, start getting it ready for, get our design on it, whatever we're going to do, get the stitching holes put in, get it stained and ready. We'll get the back side of the sheath ready. We'll get the belt loop sewed on, and that'll be our next steps that we'll go through, which is going to come in the next video. And then I think after we get that part done, we're going to put a small magnet inside here so that when the knife goes into the sheath, it'll catch the blade because we're not going to put any type of loop or anything on here to hold that knife in place. We want the magnet to hold it in place. That way you're not having to fidget when you're taking the knife off. You're not having to fidget with a loop or a snap or anything like that. You can just pull in or pull it out and put it right back in, and it's going to catch. If it gets turned upside down, it's going to retain the knife. So like and subscribe. If you like what you're seeing, subscribe. We're going to have a lot of videos coming your way. Part 3. Look for part 3 on this. Thank you, folks.